But it's good to, what I learned, it's very important to bring someone that's very specific on that field
Yeah, right.
because it challenge your questions, it challenge a lot of things. Because if you
Yeah,
bring someone to talk about something that maybe he is not very competent, it's very hard. But
right.
when you bring someone to talk about something that he is very competent or she is very competent in it, that's very good because it's you have to think about the questions about everything, and it's also challenged me as a as a how you call it interviewers
Right.
by
Yeah,
English
right. Host,
host.
podcast host. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very important. So yeah, but
Well, I'm excited for the opportunity.
it would be
I
nice.
learn as much from you as you do
Uh,
from me.
oh, I'm
Absolutely.
you are too good to learn
No,
from me.
there's a really wise saying, and that's that we're all
It's
walking each other home, Mo.
it's
So we
amazing.
all
Yeah.
help each other out.
When I listen to you when you come and talk to the
To the
players,
kids.
man, it's amazing. Like it's and what I like the positivity that you bring. It's always like it's not easy to find that. Not easy to find it. No, that's great. So
Well, I think we all embrace this idea that I remember there was this old. I'm probably pushing the clock here, but
yeah,
there's a saying where
yeah,
a young teacher went to an older teacher and asked the older teacher, or can we meet at some point, like after the school day, so I can learn a little bit from your
yeah,
experience. So
yeah,
so they met in the staff room at the end of the day, and the older teacher said to the young teacher, uh, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And the young teacher said, "Sure." So the older teacher took his coffee pot and he poured it into the cup of the younger teacher,
yeah.
but he just kept pouring after the cup was full and the coffee's like spilling out on the side. And the younger teacher looks at him and goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he stopped and he set the coffee pot down and he looked at him and he said, well, the first thing that I want to tell you is that you have to come to these conversations with your cup empty.
Oh,
He said, if you come with your cup already full, which you tend to be doing, then there's nothing that we can say that's going to add to your cup.
that's
So you
awesome.
just have to come with your cup empty, and then even if you don't agree with everything, you've got room to ponder it and reflect on it and integrate it. So what I try to do
That's
throughout my
awesome.
lifetime
That's awesome.
is to come to every conversation with my cup empty
Yes,
so that I can listen and learn and try to understand.
absolutely.
So it's just
Because
sort of being intentional. So that story always
yeah,
resonated with
I like
me
that. I like
as
it.
a
Yeah,
as
it's
a
very good.
teacher.
Wow. Hopefully,
And
everybody today has their
yeah,
cups empty.
yeah. Well, at least
You know.
just doesn't mean you have to
Yeah.
agree. Just give it some room to sort of sit in
Yeah.
there and ponder
Yeah.
and reflect, and maybe it will cause you to see things in a slightly different way that might
Yeah.
be value added for
Well,
you.
even my mentor coach told me once, like he said, the best mentors are not the one that just preaching on you. It's the one that
Right.
asking you questions.
Yeah,
It's just like he said, the best way to mentor someone is to ask questions.
yeah,
It's not like to just preach on
right,
that person, and that's why you're mentoring someone, they need to understand that you're not teaching them. No, you're practicing explaining
yes,
to them, but at the same time you're as well learning from them. So it's like a two-way traffic.
yeah,
It's like
absolutely,
you're sending and also you're receiving information.
yeah, yeah,
Which
absolutely,
a lot the I think they take it as if he's mentoring me, he's giving me. No,
yes,
I am giving you, but at the same time, I'm taking from you as well
right,
as a mentor. So
right,
that's very good. It's like yeah, it's two-way traffic.
absolutely, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Beyond the Pitch podcast is here, episode 6. Today, I have a very special guest, a guest that I'm definitely excited to host. Great human being, but also a very knowledgeable person. With me today is Dr. Mark Epp. Mark is a sport mental training consultant. He's the owner of Pursuit Sport Mental Training. He's a coach who coached over 30 years and also a teacher at the university. Was teaching for over 40 years. Mark is also consultant for the athletes, for the players at all levels, from the grassroots to the professional sport. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate being here.
Glad to have you here, Mark. And how is the pitch, Mark?
Things are going well. Things are going well. It's the summertime. I taught a summer class this year, Mo. So right now I'm in the middle of marking exams, which I wouldn't say is living the dream, but but we're getting through it. And it's great to always work with young people, and the consulting work is always an ongoing thing. When we get to the summertime, it's a lot of provincial teamwork and that sort of thing. So there's always an added energy to that. We've got a Canada Games here this year, so I've got work with Canada Games teams as well. So there's kind of a neat kind of vibe that's going on out there. But as you know from your coaching and your administrative work, sport doesn't sleep, and it's a year-round endeavor. And so for me, it's a fun thing to do. And I get to go out and play a little bit of golf, not well, but my kids still are okay to play with Dad as long as I hit from the forward tees, and we're good. So I'm doing well.
Awesome. We already started here, Mark, and I think we're already creating the unconscious ease here situation, which is I'm sure you're familiar with the conscious ease versus the unconscious ease, especially for us as coaches when. Let's say you are doing a feedback meeting with a player, or like a video session, for example, with a player. It's very important to create that unconscious ease in the brain state of the players, because you will feel comfortable. Then the conversation is going to be more objective, and you're going to provoke the desired answers. Because if there is a conscious stress, then you may provoke like those. For example, open-close answers. Yes or no.
For sure.
So it's very important to create, and also in coaching in general, very important to create that unconscious ease in the brain state of the people that you are coaching. And I think something you already do, especially when I invited you to have those mental sessions for the players. And I like how when you enter the room and you start the conversation, you can see that everybody is very comfortable listening and also interacting with you. So how you create that unconscious ease, Mark?
Well, I think one of the things, and this isn't just something I thought up at the kitchen table. This is based on years and years of research. Is that one of the things that we know is that if you can convey to people that you genuinely care about them, like they genuinely matter to you, and you're basically trying to help them. Once they understand that, then they buy in more to both the information you're sharing, and they're also okay if there's feedback that isn't always exactly what they want to hear. The way that I explain it to students is I say, and Mo, you have to cut me off if I start talking too much, right?
No,
because you got to save me from myself.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay, so I say to them, like our children are all grown up adults, kind of living their own lives now. But I say to them, imagine our youngest son is 3 years old. And imagine that he's on the front porch of our house, and I'm sitting on the front porch as well. And he looks up, and he sees his little buddy, his best friend, across the street on the front lawn of their yard. So he gets up, and he races across the lawn to go play with his friend. And I look up, and I see coming down the street a bus. And our little boy doesn't see the bus because of the parked cars. He's just running. So I say to my students, so what I do is I run up and I race over to the sidewalk, and before he crosses the street, I grab him and I hold him. And I ask the students, I say to them, so what's his reaction going to be? And they say, well, he's going to be mad at you. He's going to be upset at you. And I say, and why? Well, he thinks that you're trying to keep him from playing with his friend. And then I say to them, and what am I trying to do? And they go, well, you're trying to keep him from getting hit by a bus that he hasn't seen. I say, exactly, right? So I say to them, never ever think that I'm trying to keep you from playing with your friend. Sometimes we may have to have open, frank conversations about things, but it's not because I don't care, it's because I see a bus coming that I don't think you see. And I say, we can discuss and debate whether there is a bus or not, and parents and kids will have these conversations a million times in their lifetime, but never ever think that it's about keeping you from your friend. It's always about trying to keep you from getting hit by a bus that I'm not sure you see. So I think if we can create that feeling of caring, then even when you're having those straightforward conversations with athletes that you have to help them in their pursuit of their best selves, they're more open to it because they realize, okay, this I really matter to this coach, and I'm just going to come, with an open mind to try to listen and understand because I know they're trying to help me. So It can make a big, big difference.
Awesome. That's great. Like I say, really, the conversation is already started with you, Mark, here, which is amazing. So I'm just gonna put you back a little bit,
Sure.
Dr. Mark, and let's tell us a bit about you, like the beginning, how your journey started, whatever you want to share with us, because maybe a lot of our listeners, some of them are familiar.
Yes.
Who is Mark Epp?
Right.
Maybe some not, but we just want to know how this career started,
Career
how
unfolded.
this journey got formed and started to get to where you are right now,
Yeah.
which is you should be proud of yourself first of all.
Well, I
what you
appreciate your
achieved.
kind words. Yeah.
So let's put us back to wherever you want to start, Mark. Okay, you're free.
Well,
Share whatever you want to share with
go
us.
back to the beginning. Well, we don't have enough time because that's the beginning of time.
Briefly.
Years ago, when I would teach history, my students say, "Well, you can teach us well because you actually were living at that time." Kind of idea. So, anyway, well, I think the point is Mo, is that, and this is the thing that we'll apply to everybody, is that fundamentally what we're trying to decide for any of our professions, whether it's you, me, anyone, is we're trying to decide who do we want to help and how do we want to help them. Really. And so for you, whether it's coaching, whether it's broadcasting, whatever it might be, you try to tap into that. And there's a scholar from years ago, his name's Thomas Sergio Vanni, and he used an analogy. He called it the dog sled analogy, and he said, if you look at a dog sled, where's the power of the dog sled? And people say, well, it's in the dogs, right? The power's in the dogs. And then he would say, and where's the leader of the dog sled, the musher? Is the leader in front or behind the dogs? And they go, well, the leader's behind the dogs. And he goes, exactly. He said, so what the leader does, what the musher does is, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the musher basically, the dogs energize the sled. And what the leader does is just keeps the dogs between the ditches. And so basically for all of us, what we're basically trying to do, even with the athletes that we work with, and this will get back to your question, I promise, is that you're just trying to figure out where the dogs are running, right? Where the dog's running. And then you honor that. You're honoring that with your podcast, right? You knew this was something that you were passionate about.
Yes.
And you're doing it right now. So you're simply honoring where the dogs are running. And that's what I did throughout my career. Initially, I went into teaching and high school teaching and coaching, and I was a kid that, like a lot of us, grew up.
What sport you coach?
What sport didn't I coach, Mo? my main sports growing up were basketball, and Canadian football, not soccer, but football. And but I coached basketball, I coached volleyball, I coached some soccer with little kids. Okay, I coached track and field, cross country running, coached a lot of things.
That's
for
amazing.
A lot of years. Yeah. And coached right from kids that were kindergarten all the way up through high school age. Did a little bit of provincial team work as well. And again, it was just part of who do you want to help and how do you want to help them.
Is it your kids that brought you to coaching or something you wanted to do?
Something that I wanted to do was something that I was passionate about.
Okay.
And I just feel that sport just provides us with a way to reach people and a way to experience things that is quite unique and special. Like really, we don't have to get into a big existential philosophical conversation here, Mo, but really if you boil it right down to it, the real meaning of sport, if you want, and I know this isn't the intent of this podcast, but really is that it has the potential to bring joy to the people who participate in it and to bring joy to the people who watch it. And it doesn't go beyond that. I know some people get all caught up in the business side or caught up in the wins and losses in that, but essentially it's emotionally evocative, like
And
it generates that feeling.
that's very strong, Mark, because even myself, when I sometimes do reflecting or on my even my childhood, the reason why I played football, because I enjoyed it.
Yes.
Simply,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and because of the joy.
Yeah.
Like I've never like went for it from the first day because I wanted to have a career
Yeah.
or make a income from it
Yes.
at the beginning, just to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's very powerful, actually.
And Mo, that's what a lot of times we have to return to when we're working with athletes in my profession, because like athletes don't lose their skill, they just sometimes lose their way. They start to feel an immense amount of pressure. They become very focused on the outcome, and they lose touch with what you just described for yourself as a player. And so I can remember, and again, and I know that you'll understand this, I can't name names of people I work with. I can talk about levels, but I have to protect confidentiality.
Absolutely.
But a very high level athlete that I was working with, she was really struggling with feeling so much pressure when she played. She felt like she didn't want to let her teammates down. She didn't want to let her coaches down. She didn't want to let herself down. She was putting an immense amount of pressure on her. And I told her a story about Mia Hamm, the soccer player, the soccer superstar from years ago. And I know, like your audience, everybody will know who Mia Hamm is. Sometimes when I mention Mia Hamm, people don't know because it was a while ago that she was so prominent. But for those that aren't familiar, #1 female soccer player in the world, right? She was the best in the world. And captain of the American national team, played pro, back in the mid-90s. The U.S. women's national team wins the World Cup in Los Angeles in front of 100,000 people. Like Mia Hamm's the captain of that team. And she really, really got into a sort of a struggled state because she felt like she was always on display. She felt like every practice and every game was like a measuring stick. She was this finished product. And it was really starting to become hard to manage. So she had a press conference. And when the #1 female soccer player in the world has a press conference, it's a big deal.
It is.
And she had a press conference, and she said to the press, but to the world via the press, she said, "I've made a decision." She said, "From this day forward, I'm only playing for one person. I'm playing for the little girl inside of me who fell in love with soccer. That's the only person I'm playing for." And she tapped back into what you were just describing about yourself and got her career back on track because she started to play for the right reasons, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
Getting in touch with that. And that's the best, that's at the time, the best player in the world at her sport. So,
and I think similar, or now we're going back to the first metaphor that you use. You need to know where the dog is running.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good metaphor. I'm gonna use it, by the way.
You're welcome to use anything and Mo, the reason why, and I know we'll talk book a little bit later, but the reason why it's full of analogies and metaphors is that we understand. The easiest way I can explain it, I'll go really, really quickly, is that imagine when you're like in grade 1, so you're 6 years old, and you're in a school, and your teacher is going to try to teach you to do a jumping jack. And your teacher can spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes describing it and what your arms are supposed to do and what your legs are supposed to do and what your body core is supposed to do. Yeah. Or your teacher could take 30 seconds and stand in front of the room and do a jumping jack. And if you watch the jumping jack, even as a grade 1, you'd get it, yes. Right? And then you could do it. Because what our brain does is it uses what we call verbal and perceptual mediators. It uses words and images to build neural pathways. So anything that we believe about anything is like it's neural pathway construction. Mm-hmm. So when you're really little, we have to really use the visual because you just don't have brain development yet to take the cognitive, the verbal, and really, like, think of them as Lego pieces that you're trying to put together.
Yes.
But the visual, the verbal, like the jumping jack, it's like, oh, I can do that. I understand what that is, mm-hmm. right? Well, when you think about analogies like the dogs running or whatever it might be, the reason why we use analogies, and the research has shown this to be really, really helpful, is that it creates that picture for the athlete. It's yes. an image. It's yes. like the jumping jack that the teacher's demonstrating to the grade 1.
It's very powerful.
And the minute they get the picture, they can, oh, okay, I kind of get that what that means, and I can relate it to something that I know and that I understand.
Absolutely.
So, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Coming back here to the same question. So, uh, everything, as you mentioned, just right now, so have led you to go to this spot. You want to be working
Yeah.
with players,
Taught a lot of psychology
with
for a lot of
athletes.
years,
Yeah.
coached a lot, had a lot of sort of experiential knowledge around what worked for athletes, what helped. But I wanted to make sure that I had the academic credibility to be able to sort of provide that help in a way that people could trust and that people could feel confident in. So I chose to go and get my Ph.D. in this area. So in basically sport mental training, athlete fear of failure, high performance coach athlete relationship. So I wanted to study this area that I'd been living on the front lines as a teacher and a coach, and had been talking about the psychological constructs in classrooms. And I wanted to now put it all together in a way that would allow me to kind of go out and work with athletes and teams and coaches, just like I've worked with your programs, to make that difference. But again, it always came back to kind of who do you want to help,
Yes.
how do you want to help them, and where are
Yes.
the dogs running. And for me, this is the area that they're running. So now I get to live my best life because I get to teach at the university. And I also get to work as a consultant so I get to keep teaching, which I love to do. And I get to work with awesome people like yourself and the athletes. And yeah, it's totally a win-win for me.
Awesome. Awesome. So now we understand what triggered your career and your path, or what you're doing now, being a consultant, working with players, with athletes, and the passion behind that, if we can say that. I think also that that what really will bring you to what you have done recently, which is this amazing book that you have written. I've read the book, spent a week reading it. I haven't studied the book yet. Okay, because
It's all good. There won't be a test, Mo.
there is two different ways of reading. There is a first time you read the book,
Yes.
and also maybe a second or another, even third time
Sure.
to study the book, which is you
Understood.
reflect on it, and you do the thinking about the thinking.
Yeah.
But really amazing, Mark, and I wanna congratulate you
Thank you.
for doing this, because this is I know we're gonna talk in a second here about it. What's the idea behind this, Mark? What's the purpose
Behind the book itself?
behind the book itself?
As you know, Mo, it's not my first rodeo in terms of I've worked with lots of athletes and lots of coaches and teams. Like, we're getting into the thousands now. And
Wow.
a common topic that surfaced was it would be really nice to have a resource for athletes, something that's not overwhelming, not burdensome, just like a little book, something that athletes could put in their gym bag, put in their backpack, set on their nightstand in their room, that they could go to as a resource. And it would be something that they could easily read in its entirety, that the whole thing cover to cover is 104 pages long. So it's not,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it wouldn't read like a textbook. It wouldn't read like an academic book. It would just be a resource. So if they were wrestling with goal uncertainty, if they were wrestling with performance anxiety, if they were wrestling with how to manage, challenging environments within their sport experience, they could kind of go to something and go, oh yeah, I remember reading something about that, and as you know from having read it now, it's like very, very short little chapters,
Yes.
full of stories, full of ways of trying to help people understand. And as one athlete told me, they said, in reading it, they went, they said, when I read some books that are like sort of novels or whatever, you can kind of just sort of read them and you sort of read a few pages and then you kind of tap in again
Yes.
and she said with this one, she said, I had to like read each, like, because there was something in every sentence that I wanted to know and understand, because it's short, but it was like, it's kind of like, let's get right to the heart of it and really help you understand it right here and right now. You don't have to take hours. Let's give a page and a half, and here's kind of what we're talking
Well,
about.
when I read it, I think you split it to little topics.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what I love about it, Mark, and this is really amazing. Coming back to what we just talked about earlier, you used a lot of metaphors,
Yes.
a lot of analogies to come across the idea that you wanted to come across in the book. And what's also amazing about it, it's each chapter, it just looked like you read a full book, and this is the summary of that full book.
Yes.
Exactly. So you go straight to the point, very precise. Takes a lot of time away from someone to read like a book of 200 pages,
Yes.
250, and then this is the topic, and you put the summary of that entire topic maybe in a page, page and a half, 2
Yes.
pages.
Yes.
What's the idea behind that, or how you come up with that idea? Because it's genius hindsight, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you, part of it was, I have very wise colleagues who said to me when they knew about this venture, they said, "Okay, Mark, like, people don't want to read an academic book. They don't want to read a textbook." They said they want to know how you talk to athletes. They said and I don't mean to be self-serving in this. They said the thing that you bring that's somewhat unique is that you have an ability to connect with athletes in a way that they can just feel comfortable and they can relate to the material. They said that's what people want to know. You want to bring them into that world of conversation. So I tried to very much think about ways that I could convey these kind of big picture ideas or these psychological constructs in ways that would be the way that I would explain it to a high school athlete in my office or a university athlete in my office. And so I'll just use one example from the book. Yeah. And it's actually not, and trust me, like a lot of these ideas, and I'll give credit, like there's endnotes at the back, and there's people I'll mention directly in quotes, like this, if it's not all my material, right? Like a lot of it I take from other readings and research that I've done.
Absolutely. You borrow other people's thinking to develop yours, which is important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so one thing, Mo, that a lot of athletes will talk to me about, and they'll use different words sometimes to describe it, is they'll say, I just want to play free. They'll come in and say, I just want to play free. I just feel like I'm not playing free. And so one of the things, and a large part of the first part of the book is devoted to what does that mean exactly, right? Like, what does that mean to play free? Like, it's a simple statement and it's a simple request, but it's a hard thing to get to.
It is.
So what I do there, I mean, in the and like yourself, I read a lot, and I came across this sports psychologist out of the States, Dr. Jerry Lynch, who works with a lot of professional athletes, and he tapped into something around this playing free piece, and I went, that really makes a lot of sense. So what he does, Mo, is he meets, and I know you've read it now, but for the sake of your viewers, he meets with professional athletes, and he basically asks them a few questions. He says to them, do you like music? And they say yes. And then he says, and do you have favorite songs? And they go, yes. And he says, and when those favorite songs come on the radio, and maybe you're driving in the car or whatever, do you sing them? And they say yes. And basically any athlete I ask those questions to says yes to that. That's sort of something that we all have sort of in common.
Yes.
And then he leans in and he says to them, so here's the deal. He says, nobody sings their favorite song to get to the end of the song. They don't sing it to get to the end of the song. And he asks them, he says, why do you sing your favorite song when you sing it? And the athletes will go, well, it's fun. It brings me joy. It brings me pleasure. It just feels good. And then he asks them this question. It's kind of the teachable moment. And he says, so do you play your sport like you sing your favorite song? And they almost always say no, because they're so worried about the end of the song.
The pressure.
Yeah. They're so caught up in the outcome. And this includes professional athletes making millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so he says, some of the really important work that we're going to do is to try to help you to play your sport more like you sing your favorite song. And that's what it means to play free. So that's a way that everybody can relate to, oh yeah, that's what that means. And no, I don't play it like I sing my favorite song. And yeah, I'd really kind of like to be able to do that. And then what we've done is we've set the stage to start to make a difference. And then we get into the sort of the details of how we go about doing that. But that's an example of why I took that approach.
Coming back to that joy again, hey?
Yeah.
You're doing it for the joy.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah,
That's,
really.
That's really important. So one of the topics as well that you highlighted in the book is the performance anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
which is and I think I like how you use the metaphor of the bodyguard
Yes.
in the brain,
Yeah.
and also you also use the metaphor of the caveman
Yes.
and the tiger.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you wanna
Elaborate on that a
yeah,
little bit?
absolutely. Yeah, because it's really important. Because I was listening to someone recently was actually my mentor was in a congress. He was telling us the story. He was in a congress in Amsterdam, and he was front of 300 coaches or something like that. And the topic of the congress was performing under stress. And he asked him the question: does Lionel Messi feel stressful? And they all say no. Because why? Because maybe he felt very competent to not feel stressful. So what do you think, how the anxiety, how the stress come up to the athletes, to the players? Is it the lack of competency? Is it the thinking about these things we just talked about earlier, like about not playing free or worried from the future, worried from what's going to happen? So
Right.
how the anxiety
Yeah.
comes to the performance?
Do you want me just to very quickly, for our viewers' sake, just quickly go through that quick little
Yeah,
explanation of
yeah,
it?
yeah,
'Cause then
because
it will
yeah,
make the
yeah,
other part make sense?
yeah, it's really important. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So again, just so we're clear, this is not a technical scientific definition, but it's an image that's in sort of kind of it's not going counter to the way the scientists would explain it.
Yes.
Okay. So essentially, all of us have in our brain a part of our brain whose job it is to protect us, and that part we'll just call our bodyguard. So, Mo, if you were my bodyguard, and let's say, and there's no commentary on where we are right now in the city or whatnot, but let's say I was worried when I left the studio that somebody was going to beat me up before I got to my car.
I hope not.
Well, I don't think that'll happen. I'm not worried, but we're just using it as an example. So I hire you to be my bodyguard. So before you head on with the rest of your day, you walk with me to my car. And sure enough, I get close to my car and somebody comes up to me with hands clenched in fists, looking mean-spirited, yelling in a threatening way. They come approach me, they rush at me, and you get between me and the threat, and you protect me. And I thank you for that. Well, the bodyguard in our brain has exactly the same job. But the bodyguard in our brain can't get between us and the threat. It physically can't because it's in our brain. So it uses the only tool it has in its toolbox. It makes us worried, or it makes us anxious, or it makes us afraid. And it does it for one reason, to warn us of a threat. Because it can't get between us and the threat. All it can do is warn us about the threat. The bodyguard in our brain worries that if we're not worried, we're vulnerable. So we say to athletes, don't worry about feeling worried. Don't be anxious about feeling anxious. Don't be afraid about feeling afraid. Those are normal emotions. They are simply generated by a part of your brain whose job it is to protect you. They're just natural, and we all have them, and we all feel those emotions. In terms of the cave person, this goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Cave person walking home to their village. To get home, they got to get through this thick hedge. They can fit through the hedge, but they can't see anything in the hedge. Well, there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that there's a saber-toothed tiger in the hedge. So as they approach the hedge, the bodyguard says to them, watch out for the tiger. Because the bodyguard doesn't want them going in that hedge, not thinking tiger, Because if they're not thinking tiger and there's a tiger, it won't end well.
Yes.
But Mo, it's 1 in 1,000. But it's called negativity bias. The bodyguard in our brain will always err on the worst case scenario, because remember, its job, just like your job is to protect me to get to my car,
Yes.
its job is to protect you. So even if it's 1 in 1,000, it needs to tell you about that to protect you. Okay? So what happens sometimes with athletes is that the bodyguard is like it's been in the weight room too much. And now it's seeing tigers in bushes all over the place. And so the athlete is feeling a heightened level of anxiousness or worry or stress that's beyond what it would normally feel. The bodyguard is so tuned in to protection, and it can come from a variety of reasons. Unfortunately, some athletes are exposed to bully coaches from the time they're young. Unfortunately, some athletes are exposed to car rides home that are brutal, full of criticism and ridicule and sarcasm. Unfortunately, some athletes are exposed to team settings which are hurtful and mean-spirited. There could be any number of reasons why the bodyguard is really on guard. And so we kind of work through that. But one of the ways that we work through that, and if you're okay, I didn't put a pen with, you have a pen there, Mo. Can I use your pen?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
for a
for
moment.
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
So what we do with athletes is we just set a pen on the table like that. I don't know if your viewers can see that, but there's a pen sitting right there. And I say to them, this pen's going to represent your sport experience. So it's going to represent your soccer experience. Now, I'm not going to say to you, Mo, that the pen's a pencil, because you may say, okay, Mark, it's a pencil, and in your mind going, Mark's crazy. It's obviously a pen. Okay?
Yeah.
But I would say to you, and I'd say to every athlete, if you drew a picture of that pen and I drew a picture of that pen, our pictures would look different.
Yes.
Even if we had the same artistic ability,
Yes.
even if we had the same life view, because we're looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You're seeing it that way, I'm seeing it this way. And that's what we offer athletes, is we say, I want to offer you a way to view your sport experience that's maybe different than you've ever viewed it before. I'm not going to change the pen. The pen will still be the pen.
The same, yeah.
You're going to have the same scenarios out there when you play. Your kids that you coach, when they go to nationals, when they go to U Sport, when they go to NC2A, when they go pro or whatever, they're going to face the same things. But how they view the pen can dramatically change their experience of it.
Are we talking here about how we perceive others, how we perceive the environment, how we perceive performance, how we perceive the competition, how we perceive sport? Is that exactly what you're talking about, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what you're talking, like if we use and I'm not a soccer coach, so I'm going to speak carefully here. And
You coach. So
yeah, I coach. I coach soccer with kids that aren't taller than this table.
Yeah.
But so imagine that you have a soccer tryout, okay? And let's say it's fairly high-level soccer, and let's say they're kicking long balls back and forth just across the width of the field. And you've got everybody paired up from one end of the field to the other end. And the coaches, yourself and the assistant coaches, are just watching each pair kick long balls back and forth, all the way up and down. You just watch for 30 seconds, you go on to the next pair, okay? When we watch from the side, maybe parents are watching from the side or whatever, everything just looks the same. Nothing's different, right?
Yes.
But if we take the first two athletes, I can call them athlete A and athlete B, they're kicking long balls back and forth. Mo and the other coaches are watching. Watch for 30 seconds or a minute. Don't say anything. Go to the next group. Athlete A goes, hey, coaches didn't say anything. We must be doing it right. Their confidence goes up. Yeah. Athlete B goes, why aren't the coaches talking to us? What are we doing wrong? Their confidence goes down. The coaches did nothing different, but the way the athletes viewed the experience, the way they viewed the pen, made a dramatic difference in how they felt.
The same stimulus, but different response.
Because of the perception.
Yeah, and I think that's what you mentioned in the book here when you use the the volleyball example.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
the two people setting back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important as well. Like even sometimes, let's say we're having an important game, we're doing a video session, and let's say you're a final game, really important. Okay, important, not as important within itself, but it's
Yeah.
good for them to win it at the end
Oh
because
yeah.
you will be happy.
Yeah.
It's an outcome. And you go to the room, you have a video sessions, or you put like a, let's say, a really motivational video, 30 second.
Yeah.
So, one player is gonna get so excited, very pumped for the game with that. Other players in the room may be sleeping. So
Yeah.
it's the same stimulus, but the response is different between.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And your coaches need to, be mindful of that and figure out a way to try to connect with the athletes where they're at, because at the end of the day, you have to work from that framework to maximize their abilities to get as good as they can get. Like you can't if you reach too high or you reach too low, you're doing them a disservice. But the only way to reach accurately is to take the time to see how they're actually processing what's going on.
Okay, let's bring art into science here.
Okay, you
Mark,
bet.
because this is important. Okay, this is now it's as a coach, you have these situations. The stimuli, it's very stable, or how you perceive things, very stable. But maybe those two players, you don't know. Both of them, each of them, perceive it differently. As a coach, what's the next approach that you mentioned? It's not too high, not too low. It's gotta be somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So what's the next step?
Well, if you think about it, part of it.
Now you are doing a session for me as a coach.
Part of it is just setting the table for the athlete ahead of time. So, for example, if you think back to the example where I was talking about grabbing my 3-year-old to keep them from getting hit by a bus. Well, in telling that story to my students, what I've done is I've set the table for them, and that they know going forward in our time together in that course, they know there will be times where I may have to hold them accountable for something, or I may need to expect a little more from them, or I may need to, but they know that in those situations, I'm not doing it, I'm not being mean-spirited, I'm not trying to be condescending or judgmental in any way. I'm just trying to help them from a negative consequence that I see occurring that I would rather that they don't have to experience, right?
Yes.
So with coaches, with the athletes, when you meet them initially, whoever they are, you can convey a genuine regard for them and say, you matter to me as people way more than you matter to me as athletes. You're not just resources to be used in the service of winning.
Yes.
I want to try to help you to become as good as you can be in this sport. I really value you, but part of that is going to involve me being what we call congruent, which just means being real with you. You mentioned your mentor prior to us going on, and you talked about one of the things you really appreciated about this person was their authenticity with you. You knew where you stood, right? And they were just, and being real doesn't mean being unkind. It just means if I'm always just saying, Mo, this is awesome and everything's awesome,
Or it's a fake.
Yeah. Or if I'm always saying, Mo, this is ridiculous and not good and whatever, neither of those things are, they're not real.
Yes.
So what we find from the research, we know this, is that when that's provided to the recipient, it loses its authenticity and it loses its impact for the recipient because the person isn't being real with them. So when it's delivered in a way where it's like, I care about you, you matter to me, and I genuinely want to help you get as good as you can get. So maybe it's a technical change that you're saying, okay, we need to, right now you can get, ASTRA's awesome with their attention to detail and building up skill set and proficiency, right? And they'll say things like, well, maybe you can get away with it now when you're 8 years old, but you'll never get away with that when you're playing U sport.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we have to make that change now, right? And they're going, but I can beat them this way now. Yeah, but you need to develop your proficiency this way. Or maybe it's you got a high school athlete and you're saying, hey, if you truly want to play at the highest level, you have to be at practice on time. Like you have to be engaged with your teammates. You can't be cutting people down in the locker room. Like you can't like, and it's like, if you truly want to get as good as you can, so you're being real with them, but in an authentic way where they know that you care about them. And if you lay the groundwork ahead of time, then when you get into those situations, same thing with parents.
Yes.
Well, you could probably tell me stories about times with parents, right? That'd be another podcast, okay? But if you lay the groundwork ahead of time, and say, here's what we're trying to do. I care about your children, and I appreciate your feedback, and I'll listen to it, and I'll take it under consideration, but know that I'm never trying to keep them from playing with their friend across the street. I'm just trying to prevent the bus scenario. Again, there's always going to be times, it's a human endeavor, where there's going to be highs and lows and tension at times. But you moderate a lot of that by getting out ahead of it.
And that's something really important, because when you talk about the parents, and I was reflecting on that, because my father, who just passed away 2 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. So he was how we define him is always like a nice person. But when I'm reflecting now on how he was very kind, not nice. He was kind. He would tell you, this is good, this is bad, but in a way, always he is in the middle. Without crushing you, and at the same time without really like letting you doing something that you should not do. So, and I think that's what, when I reflect on it, that's what maybe generated that confidence and that self-belief on us. So that's very important, because by doing that, what that strategy has, as you mentioned, Mark, you also generate the confidence in those players or those athletes, and also the self-belief, because nobody want to hear a fake compliment all the time, but at the same time, nobody want to hear a trash.
And a mean-spiritedness. Like that's
absolutely.
And then they start to trust you. Like I say to athletes all the time, I could say to them, if I told you I'm a cat, you're not going to believe me. If I go, I'm a cat, meow, you still don't believe me. And I said, I could say that 1,000 times all day, and you still won't believe me, because what I'm saying isn't consistent with your perception of reality, right? And so what we have to, when athletes understand that what we're saying is in their best interest, and they trust what we're saying, then they're willing to integrate it. They're willing to take those Lego pieces and start to build them. But if they don't trust us, if they don't trust what we're offering, the brain doesn't build. They build up. So we can't just ram it through. We can't just say, you have to do this because I said so. I mean, you can say that.
Yes.
And they can maybe pretend to do it. But the brain isn't building, because they don't trust it. They don't think that you care about them, or they don't think that you have credibility. And if those boxes aren't checked, the brain won't build. Like, it literally won't build. Absolutely. So it's just in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very important, Mark, to hear. And one of the topics, or one of the point that you talk about in the book, and I really like how you generated them all one after one. It's the athlete belief, and I counted 8 of them at least.
Yes,
maybe I missed 1 or 2.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
you
right.
It.
So my reading was good.
Your reading was razor sharp.
Yeah, like the excellence is the best of you. How you define your how you pursued your excellence. Different really points here. One of them really important is like you're never a finished product.
Yes.
You're always as a process. And I think reflecting on this now, it is definitely speak to what you just mentioned in the previous 30 minutes or so, that we always worried about the outcome, but there is no outcome. It's a process.
We're always in a process of becoming. The minute we start to view ourselves as a finished product, which was the case in Mia Hamm's situation, then everything becomes a measuring stick. And the minute that happens, then all of the situations you find yourself in are a threat as opposed to an opportunity. And the minute your brain makes that decision, then your brain pivots into a fight or flight response. And the minute that happens, sorry, I'm getting into too much stuff here, but you get tight, you get distracted, you start to play at a pace faster than you're trained to play. And all of these things compromise performance and compromise quality of experience. So Mo, for example, I'll say to athletes, even little ones, they say, can you say the words crisp biscuits? And they say it, no problem. And then I say, now say it as fast as you can 3 times. And it falls apart. Whether they're 8 years old or whether they got Canada on their jersey or whether they're playing pro sports, it always falls apart. And I say to them, well, imagine, now think about this for a moment. Crisp biscuits. When you say it, it's just the muscles of your mouth moving in response to motor neuron communication with your brain. So when you can do that at a pace that you're trained to do it at, no problem, crisp biscuits. The minute stress elevates the pace of things, and it does it in such a subtle way that athletes aren't even really consciously aware of it. But think about like fleeing something, right? When you're in fight or flight, your body's ready to engage in that. So think about running away from something. So you're slightly faster than you're trained. And so suddenly, like athletes will come in and they'll say, I've lost my skills. I can't pass a volleyball anymore. I can't shoot a basketball anymore, whatever. Well, you haven't lost your skills. You've just gotten so focused on the outcome. You've gotten so anxious about your performance that your body's gotten tight, you've gotten distracted, and you're experiencing crisp biscuits, right? You're trying to say it so fast that you can't say it. So what we do is we get you back to a place that's in a sweet spot where, yeah, you still are competitive, like you want to win, but you're not defining yourself by the win. And then suddenly your body can relax and the pace returns to what it would normally be, and suddenly your skills return. Well, they never went anywhere. You just went somewhere. We just bring you back. So that's a kind of a wordy way of answering, but that's kind of getting at what we're talking about.
It is wonderful how you connect the dots basically in here, because it's always like taking yourself as a process. I think it does generate the belief and the confidence, and because you're achieving something as well.
Yes.
Because you're not thinking about the end product, the final picture. I remember I used to work in a place in the past, and this manager, she told me once, you need to believe in those small wins. They're very important, I think, and that generate the belief and the confidence in the person. And are we here going back to now they're gonna start to play free, maybe?
Yeah.
Because I like how you connected the dots.
Yeah.
In here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and it's probably good, and I'm glad, because I'm guessing you've probably got some old school coaches that listen in on this podcast as well. People that are kind of.
It depends on how we define them.
Good point. Old school is probably a general. What I mean by that is that I'll tell you.
Because you could be 70 years old, but you are a very evolving coach.
Didn't say old as a person.
Okay.
Old school in terms of technique.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, just to be fully transparent, the one area where the point of emphasis in this book will generate pushback.
Yes.
Is some. When I say old school, more traditional coaches, will say, well, will this compromise competitiveness? If we're just focusing on playing free, will that make the athletes less competitive, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that it doesn't. It actually enhances competitiveness. And if you bear with me, if I can take 2 minutes and just sort of explain that, so that I can kind of address maybe a concern that somebody out there might have around that. So first of all, competitiveness absolutely is a key attribute of high performance athletes. I even say in the book, like, research has shown that Olympians across Olympic sports that are successful share this as a common attribute, competitiveness. University athletes are statistically shown to be, like research-wise, are shown to be more competitive than the general student population.
It's important.
Yeah, so competitiveness is a key thing. Mm-hmm. But what we have to understand is we have to understand competitiveness at a greater level of detail. Competitiveness actually has two faces. One of it's called HC competitiveness, which is standing for hyper-competitive competitiveness. That's like trying to win games, trying to win the championship, trying to win the World Cup, trying to win the Euro, whatever it is, okay? We have that part of us. And then we also have a part of us called P.D. competitiveness, which is personal development competitiveness. This idea that we're trying to get as good as we can get at something. So think about a surfer out in the ocean, and they say, you know, that wave's pretty big. That may not end well for me, but I'm going to give that wave a go because it's going to help me to get better. It's going to push my surfing skills because I want to see how good I can get. So I'm going to take on that wave because it's going to help me to get better. So what some people think is they think that these two, HC and PD competitiveness, are a continuum, meaning that if you're high in HC, you're going to be low in PD. Or if you're high in PD, you're going to be low in HC. But that's not how the brain works, Mo. The reality is that we need you to be high in both.
In both, yeah.
We need you to be high as an athlete, as hyper-competitive competitiveness. The win got to matter to you. Like you want to battle, you want to compete. But we need you to be high as a PD competitiveness as well, because we don't want you to define yourself by the outcome. So we have to try to get both levels up. And what we find is that if athletes bring that, we call it competitive maturity. And the way that it's described would be simply that you go into a game, HC, right? I want to win this game. I want to battle. I'm going to compete. I'm defined by my willingness to fully invest, battle, and compete. We're getting after it. But when you come out of the game and you process the game, then you go PD. You go, okay, regardless of what the outcome was, you've mentioned a few times looking at game tape with athletes, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I use this to help me get as good as I can get? Because what happens is if you go in HC but you come out HC, then your experience is always dictated by the outcome.
Absolutely.
So when it's going well, you're up here, and when it's not, you're down here. And you literally ride a roller coaster throughout your career. If you can go in HC but come out PD, then you take that information, you learn from it, you grow from it, you use it. So you mentioned Messi early on. Even Messi, when he was first in the academy, he will have had lots of experiences that didn't go well.
Absolutely.
But he didn't stop. He didn't like, okay, I'm out of here. Like he stayed with it, right? Mm-hmm. And he learned and he grew and he used it. And so his career path is more of like, and anybody that takes that approach is a slow, steady climb. And when you're young and less experienced, there's inconsistency, like there is with anything we're trying to learn. Everything's hard before it's easy.
Well, nothing is stable.
Yeah, definitely. But as you get more and more experienced, you become more and more consistent. But the mean or the average continues to climb as opposed to this roller coaster thing. So actually embracing this idea of pursuing your best self actually enhances your level of competitiveness because you're not knocked off balance if it doesn't go well. So I'll give you, I can't name names, give you an example. An athlete, a young woman who did not make her provincial team in her sport, which was really difficult for her, and she stayed with it. She said, okay, how can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? How can I use this experience, this tough experience, to help me get better? The next summer, she made the national youth team in the same sport because she came out of it PD, right? That difficult, she said, how can I use this to help me? Yes. Whereas if she'd come out HC, she may have left the sport entirely. Oh, this is devastating. I didn't make the provincial team. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm going to go do something else. She said, no, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to grow. So this mastery perspective, this pursue your best self, it doesn't take the edge off competitiveness. It just allows you to be resilient and gritty and determined and persistent because you're not defining yourself by the outcome. You still want the outcome as badly as anybody else. You just don't define yourself by it. So hopefully that helps and helps those that maybe were wondering, what does this do in terms of competitiveness?
No, very, very helpful, Mark. And the last point, Mark, there is a lot to talk. The book is small, but it's very rich, to be honest. And if you can elaborate on them, it's the healthy. You call them the healthy athlete belief. Yeah. Do you want to elaborate a bit on our listeners on this?
Okay. So let's use one example, and then we'll
I'm
kind of.
sorry to cut you. I'm gonna come back with you for the last point there later because it's interesting for me. I wanna ask you exactly what.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
really, really quickly, one of the things that all athletes want is they want to be able to play with confidence. So one of the things I do with athletes, I say, and I'm not endorsing gambling, is I say to them, okay, I'm going to give you $1,000 cash. We're going to go to Las Vegas. I'm going to ask you to bet all $1,000. And we're going to use the word confidence. We're going to go into a casino. And there's going to be a table on the casino floor. And there's going to be 4 words on the table: belief, thought, feeling, action. You're going to take your confidence chip and you're going to put it down on one of those 4 words. Is confidence a belief? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it an action? I said, if you get it right, you double your money. If you don't get it right, you lose all your money. What is it? Oh my gosh, Mo. We have crazy discussions with teams, like from young teams to like high level teams. Some will say, oh, it's a belief. Some will say it's a thought. Some will say it's a feeling. Some will say it's an action. Right? Some will say, Mark, can we split it up into $250 and put $250 on each? And I say, no.
When?
No, we're not. You can't do that. You got to roll the dice on it.
Yeah.
And then I say to them, but think about it. Like when we weigh in, and this, I've already talked about this, but I'll say, so technically it's a feeling, right? So if you put your money on confidence as a feeling, you doubled your money. Now don't feel bad out there if you didn't, because it feels like it could be all of them. And the reason why it feels that way is because, and this is an oversimplification because there's interplay between these components to a certain extent, but generally, Mo, our brain processes life in the following way. Beliefs generate thoughts, which generate feelings, which generate actions, which generate experiences, which generate beliefs. It's a loop, okay?
They're all related.
All related. So when an athlete, think back to the example I used about the 2 kids that were kicking the long ball.
Yes.
One left that experience where the coaches left not having said anything, and they were feeling more confident. The other one left the same experience feeling less confident. Why? Because they thought and believed something different about that experience. A goofy example I use is I say, my wife, Christine, she's awesome. We've been married 33 years. I always say she deserves multiple parades for sticking with me. I know you know Christine a little bit, so.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the book.
Yeah,
too.
right. And I say to them, I say to the athletes, like, so I'm on one side of the soccer pitch and she's on the other side. And I can see her and she can't see me, and she's talking to a young, handsome soccer player. And I can't see who it is. He's facing away, and her eyes are bright and dancing, and she's giggling. And I say to the teams, I say, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? And they're laughing at me because, Mo, you know me well enough. They're all very relaxed around me. I say, oh, Mark, you're jealous. You're worried. You're scared. Like, what's going on? And why is your wife so into this conversation?
After 33
After 33 years. So I say, imagine I'm tiptoeing across the field to get a closer look at this guy, and why is my wife so into the conversation? And then he turns, and I see that it's her younger brother. And then I say to the teams, now what am I feeling? Well, now they're roaring at me. They say, Mark, how silly, how goofy, how foolish. Like, what were you thinking? And I go, yeah, imagine. And I start to tiptoe back to my side. And then I ask the athletes, I say, so how long did it take me to change the way I was feeling? And they said, well, you changed just like that. And I said, why did I change the way I was feeling? They said, well, you changed what you were thinking and believing about the situation. And I said, exactly. I changed my belief and thought, which changed my feeling, which changed my action. And I said, that's how our brains work. So when we talk about somebody coming into my office not feeling confident or not being confident or wanting to play with more confidence, that's a feeling. So to understand that feeling, we have to get to what they think and we have to get to what they believe. And if we can make a difference there, the rest will change. So when we talk healthy beliefs, to get all the way back to your question, healthy beliefs versus unhealthy beliefs make a massive difference. So a healthy belief is this idea, if I crystallize all of those into kind of the one move, it's like if you forget everything else, remember one thing, you are not, an unhealthy belief is you're defined by the outcome. A healthy belief is you're defined by your willingness to fully invest, battle, and compete.
Process.
If you do that, if that's what you believe, then when you go into your competition, you will think positive process thoughts. You'll think about things that you've got control of. You will sing the song to sing it, not worrying about the end of the song. You will play the game, not the score. You will feel free. You will play free. And you will maximize your probability of achieving whatever you want to achieve. If you believe you're defined by the outcome, right away you're thinking negative outcome thoughts when you get on the pitch. You will feel tight and anxious. You will play tight and anxious. And you will compromise the probability of achieving what you want to achieve.
Something I left personally with the U15 boys group I was coaching for the last 2 years, and I think you have met them both.
Yes.
By the way.
Yeah.
And we won the PSL and we won to nationals, but the most common thing in those 2 seasons, we don't deliberately say it to the players, but our actions speak of it. We say, if we will have to win at the end, it has to be a consequence of the work we are doing the entire season. Yeah. It's not an objective within itself.
Yes.
And that's actually what happens. Like, we did not create any conscious stress in the brains of the entire environment. We just, if any win's going to happen at the end, it's going to be a consequence of what we are doing the entire season. And good example, the first season we won the game in the last 30 seconds, and we could have lost it. So anything could have happened that day. Yes. But that's really just one of the example that's come to my head now while you're talking about that. And,
there's a line that captures exactly what your philosophy is. And the line is, if you gave me 4 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend the first 3 hours sharpening my axe. And that's what you're doing with your kids at ASTRA. You're sharpening their axe. Not only for the teams that they're a part of right there and now, but for the teams that are yet to come, for the teams that they will be a part of. You're sharpening their axe. I'm a classic example. I mentioned golf before we came on. Yeah. Like, I'm a bogey golfer, for those that don't follow golf. So it takes me about 90 strokes to play a course that if you were par,
you should teach me then.
72, right? So like, my high score is like 98, my low is 83, and I'm always kind of somewhere in the middle of that. Yeah. I would love, Mo, to shoot in the 70s, but I don't practice enough. Yeah. I don't sharpen my axe. So I go to the next game thinking I can cut the tree down faster, but I'm going with the same axe all the time.
Yeah, well, that's what Albert Einstein said once. He said, if I had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes to understand the problem, and then 5 minutes to find the solution for that problem, which is very powerful. Yeah. I'm just trying to go to your head here, Mark, and because feed the good wolf.
Yes.
Please.
In terms of what we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really want to know this.
Yeah.
It does triggers a lot of things in my brain, but I want to hit it from you first.
So it's not an original construct. Dr. Jim Aframo was somebody I mentioned in the book, and it's also a story that's told, by many people in many settings. But for those that aren't familiar with it, essentially, a grandchild is sitting on the knee of their grandparent, wanting to know just a little bit about life and what their future is going to be like. And the grandparent says to their grandchild, well, within each of us there are 2 wolves fighting for control, a good wolf and what we'll call a bad wolf. And the good wolf is characterized by positivity, support, affirmation, passion, encouragement. And the bad wolf is characterized by mean-spiritedness, negativity, ill will, those kinds of things. And they fight for control of the person. And their grandchild's eyes get wider and wider and wider, and they say to their grandparent, well, which wolf is going to win the fight in me? And their grandparent says, well, the wolf that you feed. The wolf that you feed will win. And that's such an important thing, because feeding the good wolf means like not beating yourself up. It's like, in our profession, we say the saying is like, beating yourself up doesn't make you stronger. It just leaves you bruised, right? And a lot of times what we'll say to athletes is we'll say, maybe they had a practice that didn't go well or a game that didn't go well. And we'll say, so imagine, and a lot of them will have really good friends on their teams. Right?
Yes.
That tends to happen, right? Some teammates are really good buds. And we'll say, well, if your teammate, who's a good friend of yours, had the same struggles in practice or in game, what would you say to them? And they'll almost always say something around, I'd encourage them, I'd get them to focus on, like we talk about, like how can you learn from it, how can you grow, how can you use it. I'd say, we're not flawless people. Things are going to happen. We're not, we know that the best athletes in the world, they never ask the question, can I be perfect? They ask the question, can I be better? Which is a very different question, right? We can't be perfect. We're not flawless people. We're going to make mistakes. So they would say, I'd kind of speak in that really encouraging, affirming way to my friend, my teammate. And then I asked them, so when you have the rough practice or the rough game, do you talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend? And they almost always say no.
No.
What they're doing is they're feeding the bad wolf, right? They're beating themselves up, which leaves them down, feeling down. And it makes it hard to be resilient and persistent and to come through those moments of adversity because you're so hard on yourself. It doesn't mean not putting in the work. It doesn't mean not caring or not trying. It just means honoring the fact that you are doing that. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes. Let's learn from them. Let's grow from them. We'll use it to help us get better, but we don't need to, this doesn't need to be a platform where we now start taking swings at ourselves. So that's really what feeding the good wolf is. And it can make a profound difference in terms of how you feel about yourself, but basically because what you're believing and thinking, which changes how you're feeling and changing what you're doing.
That's very good. And while you're talking, I had a pop-up on my head now. It's I learned it from my group, from a group of the players I was with in a tournament, I think last year. And they just came up with an agreement inside the tournament, which is amazing. I was listening to them at the dressing room talking. They say, okay, guys, if somebody make a mistake and the other team counterattack, but if they score from it, say nothing for that person, because the goal that being scored already a damage for the person. If something happened, maybe somebody failed to press, and the other team counterattack and they missed, then maybe you talk to that person, hey, next time make sure you press. Don't let that happen. And I was looking at them, and this is amazing. This is very positive, actually, because it's how they came up with that agreement at that time. That was fantastic, because they're not putting each other down, but they're lifting each other.
Yeah,
basically holding each other accountable.
Yeah,
but they are not trashing each other, which is
right.
Really. Now when you're talking about the good wolf, feeding the good wolf, now it starts to reflect on this situations.
People don't make mistakes on purpose.
Exactly.
Right. And accountability is an important part of. I mean, we don't have time today to talk about all the team side of mental training, but if you have people that are being mean-spirited in a locker room, or you've got people that are not putting in the effort, and you always want to make sure that there aren't issues going on outside of soccer, because the problem often isn't the problem. So you want to be respectful and sensitive to that. But if it's simply somebody being unkind or mean-spirited or not trying or those sorts of things, it's okay for teammates to hold each other accountable in those situations. Like, we need you to fully engage, because we're doing our very best to fully invest. This is our core value. We're going to fully invest in this experience.
It's a group intention.
Right. But if you went for a challenge and you slipped or whatever or something, and the person got by you and they scored, like, you didn't try to do that. They don't that's not something where they need to be held accountable. They were doing everything they could and just fell short. That happens.
No, it's amazing, and I say it's my group's idea, not mine. And as a coach, they taught me that. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, you learned from them, like we all learn from each other.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mark, it's really the conversation is amazing. We can talk for days, me and you, by the way. But I got a few questions here that maybe you can briefly answer them in a few words. How do you define performance for athletes and players?
performance?
Yeah, how you define, or like, let's say, how you define the high performance.
High performance?
Yeah.
Maybe what I can do is answer it very quickly in terms of how high performance is differentiated from other forms of sport. Okay, so probably 98% of sport, Mo, is played by people for any combination of 4 reasons: fun, fitness, social benefits, scratch the competitive itch. So my father's going to turn 90 in November.
Oh, wow.
He still plays hockey 2 or 3 times a week.
That's amazing.
Now, Mo, it's not fast hockey, but it's
Still.
but it's fun hockey.
Still.
Okay, so it's for any one of those 4 reasons. Okay, and 98% of sport in the world is played for those reasons. Okay, high performance sport feels like it's more than a 2%, because we see it all the time. We see it on TV, right?
Yes.
We see it on the university campus. We see it wherever. Like, until you think it's, but high performance sport is actually only played by a small percentage of people at a high level. And what differentiates it from the other 98%, and I'm just using those numbers randomly, but just so you get a feel, is two things. One is that in training, it's about getting as good as you can get, individually and collectively. It's about pursuing your best self. That's what we do here, right? So, for example, I work with a number of university teams. So we'll say to athletes, we'll say, like, in this program, this is what we do. We try to get as good as we can get. And if that's not important to you, which is fine, this just isn't a good fit for you. Play senior sports, play campus rec, play whatever. But if you're going to be a high performance athlete, it's about getting as good as you can get. It's not like a high school student. I'm not throwing high school students under the bus, but sometimes you'll have high school students that go in and they'll take a class and they'll say, I just want to get my 50, get my credit and get out of here, right? That's not what high performance sport is. It's like, if you're gonna play the ASTRA, this is about us trying to get as good as we can get. So that's one thing. The other thing is that in competition, an added priority is pursuing the win. In high performance sport, pursuing the win is part of the reality. And so that's going to affect decisions around playing time. It's going to affect decisions around roster selection. It's going to affect decisions around positions that you play, because the goal, the priority in competition is to pursue the win. Whereas with my father's hockey team, if they all get off the ice healthy at the end of it, they're good kind of idea. So, and those are the two things that separate. So that's a different dynamic for athletes. One sports mental training person's described it this way. So, like, it brings with it a certain level. I mean, it can be really fun and energizing, but it also brings with it a certain level of feelings of pressure or stress or worry. And the way he described it is that he says, we can't control all the waves that life sends us, but we can learn how to surf. And that's what sport mental training with high performance athletes is about, is that we can't control the fact, like, if you're a professional athlete, I worked with a professional athlete, a National Hockey League player, who got traded, and his former team had won the Stanley Cup, and he's in a new team, and we're talking via Zoom prior to his training camp, and he's quite worried because now he's with a new program, new organization, new coach, new teammates, and this is a guy playing hockey at the highest levels in the world, and he's worried because now he feels like he has to prove himself kind of all over again, right? Well, it's some waves that are coming his way, but he just needs to tap into, okay, I'm defined by my willingness to fully invest, battle, and compete. His healthy beliefs, we go back to his healthy beliefs. And that gets the thoughts in the right place, that gets the feelings in the right place, that gets the actions in the right place. So high performance sport, we don't change the pen, but we can help you to look at it in a way that will allow you to surf those waves when they come.
Awesome, great.
Okay.
What are the 2 to 3 things, if you have 2 or 3, that you can't negotiate them in life for you?
You're talking my life now?
Yeah. This is personal stuff.
Personal stuff?
2 or 3 things. In performance, in your job, anything that 2 or 3 things that you don't negotiate.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll say it. I'll say it this way, and actually have it at the end of my book. But if that's okay, I'll share it right here.
For sure.
So I absolutely respect everybody's right to view existence in whatever way is meaningful for them.
Yeah.
I have no issues with that. For myself personally, I do have faith in a higher power. I believe that God is love. Leave it at that in terms of my statement today. But I'm totally respectful of everybody's right to view reality the way they want. But here's the part which is the non-negotiable part. I do feel that all of us, every one of us, if we are in touch with our authentic self, we want everyone to have a positive life experience. We would wish that for everyone in the world. And so I have 3 statements that I close the book with that I think we could all get behind, regardless of our backgrounds and our perspectives. And that is simply to seek goodness, provide goodness, promote goodness. And I think that if anybody uses the word goodness as their filter, is that goodness on display? Am I bringing goodness to this situation? Are we aspiring for something that we could describe as goodness? If we can go there, I think we're heading in the right direction.
So can we say those are your life values as well?
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. Use that camera, Mark.
Yes.
And someone you want to say thank you to.
Thank you to?
Yeah, this is the camera.
Oh, okay. Well, big thank you to my wife, Christine, who's an amazing, amazing person, amazing physio, amazing mom, amazing daughter, amazing sister. Love her more than words can say. She is my rock, and she is actually the one who generated the title for the book as well. So I can't thank her enough. Our 3 boys and their spouses and partners, Ty and Laura, and Jeremy and Megan and Derek and Maya. Thanks for being awesome people as well. And they truly make a positive difference in the world. And hopefully I can at least scratch the surface of the amazing impact that they make. And thanks to all the coaches and the athletes and all those that are chasing after their dreams and pursuing their best selves and whatever their passions are. I honor them, I support them, and this little book that I've written is just simply designed to give you teachings and understandings that can kind of help you along the way. The thing to remember, Mo, and I always say it to everybody, is just if you can just, and there's 1,000 humanistic psychologists that will line up behind me to support me on this, is that just always remember that for each one of us, even if we stray, even if people say things or do things that are unkind at moments, at our core, you know, at your core, everyone's core, you are an awesome human being with limitless potential to maximize your life experience and make a positive difference in the world. Remember that. Remember that. Tap into that. See that in everyone else. See that in yourself, and it will come out.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anyone that you want to say sorry to or for?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone that you want to say
Well,
sorry to?
you know,
If it's not, then
it's okay.
It's not.
I'm definitely not a flawless person, that's for sure. And so I would say sorry to anybody that I have fallen short in terms of trying to be helpful to you. I've learned from it. I've grown from it. And it going forward, it is certainly not an intention of mine. My intention is always to hopefully be value added and supportive and positive for people and make a positive difference in their lives.
Awesome. And the idea of the book, where it is going, Mark? Is there something bigger after this in the future? Is there an extension of this work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the idea behind it is that we're trying to help athletes to realize sort of the core foundational beliefs that drive experience. And I've had numerous coaches and parents say, you know, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take it into the workplace, or I'm going to take it home and I'm going to kind of incorporate it as part of my own life. So it's the kind of thing that right now for a lot of athletes, you know, right now sport is a big big part of their lives, right? At some point, it may not be as big, but the principles don't go away.
Don't change.
It's just like wherever the dogs are running next,
Yes.
you can apply the same principles there, right? It's so
Yeah.
so the hope is that the book will provide a catalyst and a resource and a foundation for people going forward in sport right now, which is obviously the target audience, but they can use the same things going forward as well. I suppose down the road, there's so much to talk about with respect to team and how we can collectively work together in ways that are favorable and enhancing not only performance but quality of sport experience. So maybe there'll be a team thing coming down the road at some point.
Awesome.
But right now, this is very much an individual athlete focus, and I'm content with hopefully trying to get this out to as many people as possible right now.
Where can people find the book?
Oh, it's available on Amazon. It's available Barnes & Noble. Will be available shortly on Chapters Indigo. So you just type in "Pursue the Best You," an athlete's guide to pursue mindset, or just "Pursue the Best You," and that book will come up. And then you just click if you want to purchase it, and then it will be sent to you, and usually gets to you within, it's crazy now, you can get them in like a day,
Yes.
2 days or
Yes.
3 days, something like that.
Very
So it's
fast,
a really quick. That's it's very user friendly that way.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing, Mark. And like I say, I read the book, and I promise you I'm going to study the book,
Okay.
which is
I appreciate that.
different level
Yes.
than reading. I don't take notes. I've listened. I'm not sure if you're aware of. You must be probably like familiar with this writer. He's a historian, Yuval Noah Harari.
You were telling me about
Yeah,
him
I read a lot for
on
him,
the pitch.
and it's helping me a lot as well develop my thinking. And he once admitted that he doesn't, when he reflect, he doesn't take notes. He just reflect, read, reread again, read again, because he say when I write things, it's very difficult to change them. But me, I'm evolving. I'm always changing my idea, changing my belief, changing my thinking. So that's how I do when I reflect. I don't take notes, but I just study the thing over and over and do the thinking about the thinking, which is it works for me.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's gonna work for everyone.
Well, Mo, you embody being a process of becoming,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
You're not 15 years old anymore.
No, I'm not. I wish.
But I don't mean that in a bad way.
I wish.
But you, with your work with the author that you've been just speaking about, with your mentor from Europe, all the work that you're doing, you're continuing to embrace that process of becoming idea, mindset, and you're allowing yourself to be free to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
And develop, which not only makes a massive difference for you, but also for all the people that you connect with as
Hopefully.
well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's the intention. And is there anyone that you like to read?
Myself, in terms of like authors that I like to read.
Do you have any preference writer that you like to read?
I wouldn't say there's one particular writer that I would read right now, or that I would say would sort of be a trump card over others. One book that I think would be interesting for some people to read if they're interested in the sort of the science of it, like kind of the idea of like, how does this work? Like, how can I actually, how do I actually move from an unhealthy belief to a healthy belief? Like, how do I make that change happen? There's a book called Rewired. I believe, if you just go Rewired, Nicola, I believe is the author's first name. I'm drawing a blank right now on their last name. They are actually in the back of the book. But if you are interested in a book that looks at how the brain can be altered, not in a scary way, but in a just a physiological way to help, that would be one that I'd recommend because it talks about it in a very user-friendly. It's just called Rewired. And it's very recent. It's like 2024, 2025. And it's something that would allow you to sort of see how the brain actually works in processing shifting from one belief system to a different one. and you're in complete control of the process. So it's nothing that's strange or weird. It's just people sometimes, because that's kind of the next big step for me in terms of my research journey or my learning journey. I'll call it that way. That's the right way to say it. Is now, okay, we know these beliefs work. They're tried, tested, and true. We've seen it in research. We see it in the lives of athletes and teams a lot. But now, how do we help people to actually learn them, develop them, grow them? That's kind of the next area that I'm diving into. So this book, Rewired, is sort of taking some steps into that.
Awesome. I will look for it for sure.
Okay.
Definitely. And you're also doing the consultants with teams, with
Yes.
players, athletes. So anybody, you're approachable. Anybody can approach
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah. You can either through Pursuit Sport Mental Training, or if you are a carded athlete or you have funding through the Sport Medicine and Science Council of Saskatchewan, I'm also a registered consultant through them. So you can access me through their acronym is SMSCS, and they have a website, and they've got you can connect with me through them as well.
Awesome. Let's go back to the beginning. Mark, if we go back to the beginning of this session and I ask you, do you want to be in the podcast with me after all this? Is your answer yes or no?
Oh, it was awesome, Mo. Appreciate it. You're a great human being to know and to be able to visit with. And like I said to you, I learned from you as much as you learned from me, and we come to the experience open to kind of discussing these things. And at the core, we're trying to make a positive difference for the people we work with. So thank you for the opportunity to share information and to be part of it.
You're welcome, Mark. The time with you, it goes so fast. I have to admit this. Every time I met you, the time goes so fast. And Mark, thank you very much for coming here to be a guest at Beyond the Pitch podcast. It's a pleasure for me to sit down and talk to someone like yourself. Really appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your willing to give to others and to help others. I wish you all the best at your career, at your life, at your personal life as well. I'm hoping as well to get you another time here at some point, maybe another book.
There you go.
Who knows? But Mark,
that would be wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mo.
I appreciate your time. And
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
All right, everyone. That was the end of our podcast today with Dr. Mark Epp. Hope you enjoy it. See you soon.